Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question that may challenge the way you've been living your life. Do you know the true power of silence? See, most people believe that success comes from talking more, sharing more, posting more, and always being in motion. But the truth is, manifestation doesn't begin in noise. It begins in silence. Because silence is the space where ideas are born, strategies are revealed, and faith is strengthened. You don't always have to announce your next move. Sometimes the most powerful move is to stay quiet and let your results speak louder than your words. When you understand the true value of silence, you begin to recognize that it is not just the absence of words, but the presence of wisdom. Most people lose their dream not because they didn't have the ability to make it happen, but because they exposed it too soon to people who didn't have the faith to believe in it. Every dream starts out fragile, like a seed in the ground. If you dig it up too early, it never has the chance to take root. And when you tell everyone about what you're building before it's even strong enough to stand, you invite doubt, fear, and negativity into something that was meant to be nurtured in peace. That is why silence becomes your shield. It protects the dream while it grows. Here's the truth. You don't need everybody to understand what you're doing. You don't need everybody to agree with your vision. And you certainly don't need the approval of people who have never built what you are trying to build. What you need is focus, and what your dream needs is protection. Silence protects the dream because silence keeps the wrong voices out. Think about it. How many times have you shared something exciting, something you felt was divinely inspired, only to have someone respond with, "That will never work"? That single sentence plants doubt in your spirit, and doubt is the enemy of manifestation. Hook. If you let the wrong voices in, they can talk you out of the very thing God talked you into. Silence, on the other hand, gives you the ability to nurture your dream privately. It gives you time to pray over it, to think through it, to plan for it, and to strengthen it. Just like a baby grows in the womb, before entering the world, your dream must develop in the unseen before it can survive in the seen. Too many people birth their vision prematurely, and just like a premature baby struggles to survive outside the womb, a premature dream struggles to survive outside your heart. That's why silence isn't optional. It's essential. I want you to imagine this. You're working on a project building your business or developing an idea that has the potential to change your life. You tell a friend about it, and instead of celebrating you, they raise an eyebrow. They say, "That sounds risky." They say, "Do you really think you can pull that off?" Now, here's the hook. Their doubt becomes your distraction. And when you're distracted, you lose the focus and the energy you were supposed to invest in bringing the dream to life. By staying silent, you bypass their doubt and protect your energy. Silence also positions you to listen. Because while you're talking, you can't hear the divine instruction that's trying to guide you. Most breakthroughs don't come in the noise, they come in stillness. That moment of quiet reflection is where the next strategy, the next connection, the next breakthrough idea will reveal itself. Hook. God whispers, but the world screams. If you want to hear God's voice, you've got to silence the noise. Protecting your dream with silence is not about hiding in fear, it's about building in faith. Faith doesn't need applause. Faith doesn't need validation. Faith grows in silence because it knows that in due time, the manifestation will speak louder than any announcement ever could. You don't need to post it on social media. You don't need to convince your critics. You don't need to justify your vision to those who can't see it. All you need to do is stay silent, protect the seed, and trust that when it's ready, the fruit will prove itself. The next time you feel tempted to share your dream too soon, remind yourself of this hook. Loose lips don't just sink ships, they sink dreams. If you want to see manifestation, protect your dream in silence until it's strong enough to walk into the world on its own. When you step into silence, you step into strength. Not the kind of strength that shows up in your muscles, but the kind of strength that shows up in your spirit. Silence builds you from the inside out. Most people believe strength is about speaking louder, being more aggressive, or forcing others to listen. But the truth is, the strongest people are not the loudest in the room. They are the ones who have mastered their inner world. When you choose silence, you choose to invest in yourself at a level most people never will. You create an environment where your faith grows stronger, your mind gets sharper, and your confidence becomes unshakable. There's a hook you need to carry with you. Noise makes you busy, silence makes you powerful. See, the world tries to convince you that talking more, posting more, and sharing more equals strength. But many people talk because they're insecure, not because they're confident. True confidence doesn't need to announce itself. It shows up in silence. And when the time is right, it speaks through results. When you develop strength in silence, you don't need to prove yourself to anybody. You already know who you are, and that knowing gives you the kind of stability that storms cannot shake. Silence is a training ground for discipline. It teaches you how to hold your tongue when you feel like defending yourself. It trains you to resist the temptation to brag about your next move before it's ready. It conditions you to be patient, to sit with yourself, to think deeply, and to refine your vision. And here's the thing, discipline is the backbone of strength. Hook, if you can't control your mouth, you can't control your mission. The person who is always talking is scattering their energy, but the person who is silent is storing it up, ready to release it at the right moment. In silence, you build the ability to handle pressure. Life will always throw challenges your way, but when you've built strength in silence, you don't panic when things don't go as planned. You don't crumble when others criticize. You don't lose your focus when things get hard. Instead, you remain centered because you've learned how to find strength in stillness. Think about a tree. The tallest trees don't grow overnight. They grow deep roots in silence before they ever rise high in the sky. Your inner strength is your root system. The deeper it goes, the higher you can grow without falling. Here's another hook. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is energy under control. When you stay silent, you're not doing nothing. You're building something that can't be seen yet. And that unseen strength is what carries you when storms come. People may look at you and think you're inactive, but what they don't know is that you're growing, preparing, and becoming unstoppable. Silence also strengthens your relationship with yourself. Most people can't sit in silence because they don't like the company they keep when they're alone. But when you learn to embrace silence, you learn to embrace yourself. You discover your strengths, confront your weaknesses, and build the kind of self-respect that doesn't depend on outside applause. Hook, silence is where you meet the real you. And when you truly know yourself, you stop letting others define you. Every person who has accomplished great things understood this principle. They learned how to go silent, how to work behind the scenes, how to build their inner world so strong that their outer world eventually reflected it. If you want to rise to another level, stop trying to impress people with your words and start impressing yourself with your discipline. The person you are in silence is the person who determines your destiny. And when you strengthen that person, There is no challenge, no critic, and no circumstance that can stop you. Focus is the currency of greatness, and silence is the bank where that currency grows. Most people don't fail because they lack talent, intelligence, or even opportunity. They fail because they lose focus. They spread their energy across too many conversations, too many distractions, and too much noise. But when you choose silence, you remove the clutter and reclaim your ability to channel your energy into the things that matter most. Silence sharpens your focus the way a blade is sharpened on a stone. Friction refines it, stillness perfects it. When you are silent, you gain the ability to direct your power in one direction, and that is where manifestation begins. Here's a hook for you. Distraction is the enemy of destiny, but silence is the ally of focus. Every time you allow yourself to be distracted by opinions, gossip, or unnecessary talk, you rob your dream of the energy it needs to grow. Energy scattered produces weakness, but energy focused produces power. Silence teaches you how to conserve your power. It removes the temptation to waste words on people who aren't building with you. It keeps you from debating with people who don't understand your vision. And most importantly, it creates the mental space you need to hear clarity about your next step. Focus is not just about doing more, it's about doing what matters most. When you live in constant noise, your mind gets pulled in 10 different directions. One moment you're excited about your dream, the next moment you're discouraged because of someone's opinion. But when you practice silence, you stop chasing every sound and start following a clear voice. Hook, noise confuses, silence clarifies. In the quiet, you begin to see which actions will take you closer to your dream and which actions are pulling you away. That clarity is what separates achievers from dreamers. Think about how light works. A light bulb can brighten a room, but a laser made of focused light can cut through steel. That's the power of focus. And silence is the switch that transforms scattered light into laser light. The more silent you become, the more you can concentrate your energy, and the more unstoppable you become. Too many people are talking when they should be building. Too many people are explaining when they should be executing. But silence takes you out of the chatter and places you in the arena where real work gets done. Another hook. You can't chase every voice and still catch your vision. If you want to manifest something great, you have to learn how to ignore the distractions and give your attention to the main thing. Silence keeps you disciplined. It reminds you that your dream doesn't need constant external validation. It needs consistent internal focus. It forces you to prioritize what actually moves the needle instead of wasting time on what looks good but produces nothing. Silence also creates momentum. Every time you stay focused in silence, you build a rhythm of progress that compounds over time. Small actions taken consistently and without distraction create massive results. The world may not see what you're doing while you're silent, but eventually the results will be undeniable. Hook. Focused silence today becomes undeniable success tomorrow. Manifestation is not magic, it's the byproduct of focus. And silence is what makes that focus possible. When you cut out the noise, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. You stop chasing attention and start chasing purpose. And once your focus is locked in, manifestation becomes inevitable because all your energy is moving in the same direction. Silence is not weakness. It is one of the greatest strategies you can ever master. People often confuse silence with passivity, as if being quiet means you are doing nothing. But the truth is, silence is where the deepest moves are made, where the sharpest strategies are designed, and where the most powerful breakthroughs are birthed. In silence, you are not retreating, you are preparing. You are not inactive, You are intentional. You are not hiding. You are building. The loudest person in the room is not always the strongest. Often, the quiet one is the one holding the power. Here's a hook. Weakness shouts, but strategy whispers. Those who have no plan will talk endlessly about what they're going to do, but those who are truly strategic know that silence keeps their moves protected until the time is right. When you embrace silence as strategy, you're no longer wasting time trying to convince people of what you're about to accomplish. You stop giving away your playbook to people who aren't even on your team. Instead, you quietly stack wins, build your foundation, and position yourself for a breakthrough that will speak so loudly you won't have to. Think about a chess game. The best players don't announce their moves. They think quietly, they anticipate, and they strike at the right moment. Silence works the same way in your life. Every time you choose silence, you give yourself the space to think 3 moves ahead. You learn how to anticipate challenges before they arrive. You give yourself time to observe, to calculate, to learn. And while others are wasting energy talking about what they're going to do, you're quietly making progress that nobody can stop. Hook. Silence is not the absence of movement. It is the presence of mastery. Silence also prevents sabotage. Sometimes the reason people never reach their destiny is because they announced it too early. They shared their vision with people who didn't want to see them win. They revealed their next move to people who were secretly rooting for their failure. But when you treat silence as a strategy, you protect your vision from unnecessary interference. You don't need to expose every step of your process. Not every plan needs to be public. Not every dream needs to be announced. Some things should only be revealed once they're undeniable. Another hook, when you tell too much. You give people the tools to tear you down. When you stay silent, you give yourself the tools to build up. That's the power of silence as strategy. You don't owe an explanation for your vision. You don't need to defend your dream. You don't have to justify your mission. You just need to build it in silence and let the results do the talking when the time comes. And here's what silence really gives you: control. Control of your emotions, control of your environment, control of your energy. People who lack strategy react to everything. They get pulled into arguments. They waste energy on proving themselves. They spend more time talking than producing. But when you adopt silence as your strategy, you are no longer reacting, you are responding with purpose. You hold your peace until the right time to move, and when you move with precision. Seeds grow underground before they ever rise above the soil. A house is framed in silence before it becomes a home. A business is built in quiet seasons before it ever gets recognition. And dreams are crafted in hidden spaces before they are celebrated in public places. Silence is not weakness. Silence is the wisdom of preparation. Hook, people may doubt your silence, but they cannot deny your results. When you understand that silence is strategy, you stop seeking applause for the process and start preparing for the manifestation. Manifestation is not about wishful thinking, it's about alignment. And one of the most powerful ways to align yourself with manifestation is through silence. Every word you speak is a seed, and whether you realize it or not, you are planting something every time you open your mouth. The problem is, many people are planting the wrong seeds. They speak fear, they speak doubt, they speak lack, and then they wonder why those very things show up in their lives. Silence becomes powerful because it stops you from planting the wrong harvest. It allows you to guard your tongue until your words are strong enough to build your future instead of destroy it. Here's a hook. Your words are bridges or barriers. Silence keeps you from building the wrong one. If you've ever noticed, the people who constantly talk about what they can't do are the same ones who never see results. Their words keep them in bondage. But when you learn the discipline of silence, you protect yourself from careless speech that could derail your destiny. You align yourself with manifestation because silence forces you to stop speaking death over your dream. Silence also creates room for faith to grow. Faith doesn't need you to talk about how impossible things look. Faith needs you to believe in what you cannot see. And when you're silent, you give your spirit the chance to meditate on what's possible instead of complaining about what's not. Hook. Silence is the soil where faith grows its roots. The less you talk about what's missing, the more you can focus on creating what's coming. You stop magnifying the problem and start magnifying the solution. Think about how powerful this is. Every time you choose silence over negative speech, you're aligning yourself with manifestation. Instead of saying, I can't afford that, you stay silent and allow your mind to focus on ways to create wealth. Instead of saying, I'll never succeed, you stay silent and let your spirit remind you of the greatness inside you. Instead of declaring limitations, you hold your peace and let your actions manifest expansion. Silence cuts off the flow of negativity so manifestation can flow freely. Another hook, silence doesn't mean nothing is happening. It means something is happening that words can't explain yet. Too often, people try to explain their process, but manifestation doesn't require explanation. It requires alignment. Silence keeps you aligned with your purpose, with your goals, and with your faith. It stops you from talking yourself out of your own blessing. Silence also gives you the chance to listen. Manifestation isn't just about what you're saying, it's about what you're hearing. In silence, you can hear divine instruction. You can hear new ideas. You can hear strategies that would have been drowned out by constant noise. Many breakthroughs are missed not because people lack opportunity, but because they're too busy talking to hear it when it shows up. But when you choose silence, you open yourself to hear the whispers of wisdom that guide you into manifestation. People may mistake your silence for an activity, but that's only because they don't understand alignment. They don't realize that every moment you hold back negative speech, you're strengthening your ability to manifest positive results. They don't realize that every second you spend in silence is a second you're listening, planning, and aligning with your vision. And when manifestation shows up, it will be so undeniable that those who once questioned your silence will have no choice but to acknowledge your results. Hook. Silence is not the absence of manifestation, it is the womb of manifestation. The unseen work is what produces the seen results. When you align your thoughts, your energy, and your actions in silence, manifestation becomes inevitable. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to explain it. And you don't need to convince anyone of it. All you need to do is stay silent, stay aligned, and let the results reveal the reality. The beautiful thing about silence is that it sets the stage for results to speak on your behalf. You don't have to convince people of your vision when the fruit of your labor shows up. You don't have to argue with critics when success steps into the room. Results speak a language that even doubters can't deny. That is why learning to stay silent is not just about discipline. It's about positioning yourself for undeniable proof. Silence holds back the chatter, but manifestation turns up the volume in ways words never could. Here's a hook. When you're silent in the process, your results will be loud in the outcome. Too many people spend so much energy announcing what they're about to do instead of actually doing it. They drain their energy telling the world, watch me, I'm going to make it, and then they have nothing left to actually build it. But when you keep quiet and put that energy into execution,